So you live in Chicago, you're here in LA screening a film at the Pan-African Film Festival? Okay. And are you a full-time filmmaker in Chicago, or do you have another job?
I'm a full-time filmmaker in Chicago.
Wow.
This is what I do. This is I provide for my family. I don't do anything else but make films. But again, I have a marketing company, what I use to market my films. But the way I provide for my family is through filmmaking.
Filmmaking, yeah. Okay. So for filmmakers who haven't figured out the business side yet, what advice can you give them, and how can you explain the different ways that a filmmaker can get out of having a 9-to-5 job?
Okay, great question. Here's how you can definitely get out. Okay, so say for instance, you asked the question as far as a filmmaker that makes a film for $20,000. You go out, you make a film for $20,000, and what you have to do is, okay, you have that $20,000. So you want to say, how can I make, within 2 months, how can I make $40,000? You want to do a certain amount of screenings so you can bring in at least $40,000. Now that $20,000, right, is going to go in, if you use your own money like $20,000 to make your film, or you use investors' money, then all the way off the top that $20,000 is going to go back to paying your investors back. So you have your investors, you pay your investors back, and so you have a profit of another $20,000. And what you do with that $20,000, if you have your home, your own place, your apartment, you use a portion of that $20,000 to pay your rent off for 6 months. So within 6 months that you're covered with your rent. So you have, say for instance, after you pay, you have another $10,000 left over. So you take another portion of that $10,000, right? And what you do is you have more screenings. So you may do another screening, and you may invest maybe $3,000 of that money into another screening. And don't look into always want to screen your film in LA. It's very expensive. Look at the southern places. Look at Charlotte. Look at Atlanta. Atlanta's pretty expensive too, but look at places like South Carolina, North Carolina, Nashville. Go to different places like that where they're looking for filmmakers to come in to screen their films, and they will support because no one else is doing this. And so if you take $3,000 of that money and you go out and you screen for like maybe 3 days, and you charging $10 a day at 300 seats, that's a total of $3,000 a night. That's now within 3 nights you're making $9,000. So that's a total of $9,000 you made within 3 days. If depending on the number of seats that you go into the theaters that you're going to rent out. So you take that money, and then what you do is you take that money, you make sure you save. So you already know that your rent is paid up for 6 months, right? So now you have this film, and you're good for 6 months because now your rent is paid up for 6 months. Now that stress is no longer there, because a lot of things that keep us from actually being free is the fear and is the stress of not being able to pay our rent. If we know we have that 6 months, now we know that, okay, we have this film now that we have that we made for $20,000, right? Now we want to look at what are we going to do to get this film sold. So now you want to start pitching this film to, you have your Netflix, you have your Amazon, you have different companies who are always looking for content. So you start to pitch the film. While you're pitching the film, you still have time. You can still be screening it too. So as you're screening your film at these different theaters, you're constantly making money. So you have to be very careful of the numbers. So a $20,000 film, you can make at least $100,000 if it's done properly within an entire year. And that's profit if it's done properly. But you have to hit these cities like the Nashvilles, like the Charlottes, like the South Carolinas, these films that, these cities that nobody is going to.
Interesting. So not New York, not LA, probably not Seattle.
I wouldn't do New York. I wouldn't do LA. I would do Chicago. Here's why I would do Chicago. Chicago got a lot of theaters, right? That's very affordable. You mean that, like, say for instance, I can screen at the ICE Theater, which is a theater in Chicago. They may charge me $800 to screen this film, but you're looking at a theater that sits 300 people. Charge $12, sell it out. That's a profit. You know, if you do that 2 nights, or you do that for 3 nights, you just made what? Again, you made $9,000.
So I'm just curious, how are you getting people to go to these theaters if you're not from that area? Like if I were to go to Nashville and I wanted to buy some time in a theater, and then how am I getting the word out?
Great question. So this is what I normally would do, is like what I would do if I screen in Charlotte. If I take my film and I screen it in Charlotte, which we have done, I would partner with someone who's over a film festival, or someone who does marketing for like clubs and things like that, a promoter. So look up, because you have all these promoters, like thank God for social media. So if you know someone that's a promoter in these particular cities, send them an inbox and say, okay, I have a film that I want you to promote, and maybe we'll do a 70-30 deal. I get 70, you get 30. Now the promoter, right, who maybe promotes like for clubs or parties and things like that, they have something different that they can make money off of. So, and they are very open, because if it makes sense business wise, they're open to it. So they may take your film and say, okay, I'm going to promote it for you in my city. I can get the people out. We do a 70-30 split. I take 70 as the filmmaker. You take 30. You got to give them something for their time. And they will get the people out, and they will get the people out to the theater, and you just do that, because there are promoters all over the country. You can find in one city, you can find thousands and thousands of promoters, and just link up with a promoter or link up with a film festival, even like the smaller film festivals in those different cities. And most cities you have film festivals. Just link up with like the director of the film festival, someone who works for the film festival, and say, okay, I want to screen my film. Are you looking to make some extra money? And if you are, can we partner and you help me promote it? I'll come out and we do a 70-30 split. And most times, who's going to turn like if I have an audience, already a built-in audience that I'm promoting to, and I know I can get 300 people out to a theater, or even 200 people out to a theater. If I screen a film there, like that's just, that's money that's to be made. It's a business deal. Yeah. Have
you tried the same thing here in LA? I know you said you wouldn't do it, but I was just curious. Have you tried, other than with film festivals?
We have screened, like when I did Black Coffee, we screened that film in LA, but it was more for marketing and not to make money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But outside of that, like Chicago, Charlotte is a great place to screen. Mm-hmm. Your films at. Yeah. And people are looking. They're looking for more independent films too, and they're looking for more independent films to support. Yeah. So when you did in LA, did you realize like it'll probably be a loss? But we're doing it just to get the word out. You were okay with that, yeah. Now here's the thing too, is that, say for instance, if you just want to get the marketing, or just say, okay, I screen my film in LA, to use that as a tool for the other cities, then you can do a screening in LA, knowing that you may break even, or you may make a profit, or you may not make a profit. You may lose. You may go in the red. But you can just say, I screen my film in LA. LA has a lot of power. Again, when you say your stuff is screening in LA, that's going to put the antennas up, and people want to know. Okay, that's cool in LA. So we can use that as leverage. Yeah. Even New York, Chicago not so much, but LA, New York. You can use that as leverage for the smaller cities. Yeah. That's really interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. How did you figure the business model out on how to make money with these small films? I always knew that I had to keep the films at a very low. So for me, $20,000 was too much to spend on a film. In particular, especially if you don't have name actors in it. So I knew that I'm going to keep the films about $10,000. And from $10,000, I can make that back within a weekend, right? And so I knew that I'm going to keep these films low. I'm going to make that profit back, and I'm going to reinvest into doing more screenings. I'm going to first and foremost, like by keeping it so low, you can pay, if you have investors, you can pay your investors back, whether it's $1,000, $500, whatever. But you can also there's because a 90-minute film is a 90-minute film, right? So we know that they don't know what you paid to get the film made. They're not aware of that. You don't have to tell people, oh, I made this film for $20,000. No one needs to know that. But if a film like, let's say for instance, Black Panther, right, comes out, of course you have millions and millions of dollars for marketing, so you have people who want to rush, but it's still a feature film. A $20,000 feature film is a feature film. So what you're going to do is you're going to definitely use that $20,000. If you're going to shoot that film for $20,000, you have to look at it as if it's a studio, even though it's not a studio film, but you have to treat it like this is my studio film, because again, you are a studio. We are, we may not have the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to do marketing or to do a film. To put in a film, but your $20,000 film, you have to use the same method, the same process that the studios are doing for this film. So you take it out, you screen it, you make money off of it, and you continue to screen it. Because people want to see those independent films. Like Hollywood, the blockbuster stuff. So this is a perfect time for independent filmmakers because there's so many, everything that's coming out of Hollywood is blockbuster. And not we want to see a good love story. We want to see a good dramatic film, a good story without things having to be blown up. So this is like the perfect time for us, and then you take it to those small cities, you take it to those, and just screen your film. And that's how you make money. You can make a living off just screening your film.
Have all of your films made money?
All of them, every last one of them. Yeah, every last film that I've ever made, all made a profit. Because we make them, so like, if I'm making a film for $1,000 or $10,000, if I can't make a profit off that, I don't need to be making films. Like, if I make, like, the movie I made, Black Butterfly, which we made for less than $10,000. Like, we sold it, we made money off of it, and they put it out, again, like they put it out. And I can say this now, but I was still selling DVDs. I was still like, if you keep, I had I was still doing screenings of the film. That's how I was able to make a living, is by screening these films, is by making DVDs, you go online. It just don't depend on like the YouTube and what you call it, the Apple and all that. You have to go out and you have to screen your film. We have to make money off of our films. Yeah.